The arrival at Anor Londo serves as quite the milestone for players. It is also a good marker for the halfway point of the game, and once the player beats this section, their progress through the world will change, and there will be a turning point in the game's narrative. It's an important point in the game, and I will also highlight the level design while diving into what role Anor Londo plays in this game's narrative and themes. The City of the Gods makes quite the grand introduction. It's the only area in the game to have its own cutscene for its entrance, and you're carried here by the Batwing demons who act as servants to the gods. They seem to have abandoned their culture a long time ago. They're also obnoxious as hell to fight, and I tend to avoid them like the plague. As you walk down, you are given this great view of the city, and Dark Souls' gothic influence really shines here. And I mean, just look at the lighting. It's as though the air itself is golden. The pathway down is pretty barren, with these giant sentinels being the only threat, and they only attack you if you get pretty close to them. It doesn't take long to realize that something seems off about this place. These giants seem more like statues than guards. There isn't much conversation to be found with the Firekeeper either. This is supposed to be the City of the Gods. Why is it so quiet? The game throws a gargoyle at you to show how far you've come. Much like its boss counterpart, the gargoyle is a total push. Once the gargoyle is dealt with, the next trial is the dreaded rafters. The path you must take is blocked by an assortment of white guys with knives. They have long since forgotten why they are guarding this chapel. The only thing that remains certain is gravity. This chapel also gives us a glimpse into Anor Londo's iconography. There is more than just one statue missing from this pantheon. The role of these icons and religion as a whole will make more sense soon. The Silver Knight archers never fail to be at least somewhat intimidating for me. The lead up to Anor Londo's Cathedral is quite an overwhelming and stressful experience. So finally making it into the interior of this place is quite a comforting feeling. It's been a while since I last saw Solaire, and I would be lying if I said I didn't miss him. It seems the feeling is mutual.
You really are fond of chatting with me, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me. Oh no, dear me, pretend you didn't hear that.
This reconnection also perfectly coincides with this cathedral being one of the most heavily populated co-op areas. Bringing another person might be a good idea because this section of the cathedral is a very lonely place. Behind the illusory wall is a room devoid of any light. In this darkness, an occult club can be found, a simple weapon and a relic of a plot against the gods that seems to have long been abandoned. These empty corridors are inhabited by the occasional Silver Knight, who only live to serve. There are no gods to be found here. The bedrooms that belong to Gwyn's children are empty. Hanging on their walls are paintings reminiscing on a bygone era. Siegmeyer yet again provides us with his pleasant company. He breathes some life into this place. Clearing the room of its Silver Knights rewards you with some of Siegmeyer's wisdom.
But be warned, gallantry entails great risks. Next time, give me a chance to come up with a plan.
Not all people can be as kind as Solaire, or as wise as Siegmeyer, as evidenced by the existence of Lortrek. Getting to challenge Lortrek is practically as climactic as the boss of the area itself. Lortrek may appear to be a simple bad guy who gets enjoyment out of sabotaging us, but his lore and dialogue shine a new light on his motives. Lortrek wears the Ring of Favor and Protection, a ring symbolizing the favor and protection of the goddess Fina, known in legend to possess fateful beauty. His armor also symbolizes some connection to Fina, with the chest piece even taking the appearance of two arms wrapped around the wearer. How deep this relationship is debatable. Whether an actual romantic relationship between Lortrek and Fina exists is hard to say, since Fina is nowhere to be found, and it seems far more likely that this is a one-sided relationship. As to why Lortrek put out the Firelink bonfire, I think it can be assumed that Fina desired to rebel against the gods, and Lortrek thought that by taking out the central hub of the undead, he would win over Fina's favor. Hawkshaw has a great video that goes into more detail and speculation of Lortrek's character that is definitely worth watching, and I will link it in the description. I obviously won't go into as great a detail for the sake of staying on topic, but I will be looping back to Lortrek shortly. The giant blacksmith is a fan favorite for a reason. He has a passion and he sticks to it. He's completely honest and is always kind. We should all aspire to be like him. Smough is not like the giant blacksmith. Don't be like Smough. The iconic duo that is Ornstein and Smough are such a memorable fight for a number of reasons. There's the bombastic music, the heavy hits of Smough, and the terrifying speed of Ornstein, and this obnoxious runback. I could probably leave out that last one. A part of what makes this duo so great is the duality between them. Ornstein is a slim, noble knight, and Smough is a gluttonous freak executioner. I believe these two also serve as an interesting representation of Gwyn's Age of Fire, Ornstein being the ideal image of this age, and Smough being the brutal reality. Ornstein is a dragon slayer. The end of the stone dragons brought about a new age with new opportunities. His armor is elegant, fitting for an honorable knight. But the truth is that honor and bravery are not what has kept this age thriving. If he falls in combat, Ornstein will be smashed to pieces even while still showing signs of life. Smough takes enjoyment in the killing and gains strength from it. His armor is decorated in deception. His eyes aren't there. Or there. I have no fucking clue where this guy's eyes are. Anyway, rumors of his cannibalism would make sense and are in line with the nature of the Age of Fire. Gluttonous behavior, constantly in need of a sacrifice in order to barely scrape by for just a little bit longer. The fight itself is great, but I feel like the only thing preventing the AI from being absolutely obnoxious are these pillars. Ornstein can also tend to have some questionably bizarre movements, and just overall there are a few oddities in this fight sometimes. The spectacle of this fight does a great job of masking these problems though, and I would by no means call it a bad fight. With the two champions defeated, we can now claim our reward, the Lord Vessel. Gwynevere, the daughter of Gwyn and a symbol of bounty and fertility, makes it more clear what purpose the undead are meant to serve after giving us the Lord Vessel.
Queen of sunlight, since the day Father his form did obscureth, I have awaited thee. Succeed Lord Gwyn, and inheriteth the fire of our world.
This is another deception. Her dialogue is full of euphemisms. Her father's form being obscured is just another way of saying that he died in a house fire. And what it means to inherit his age is for us to just be consumed by the flame as well. These euphemisms are used alongside Gwynevere's likeness to seduce the undead to do the bidding of a long-dead king. Another example of Gwyn's exploitation of his children is his eldest son. Gwyn erased his own child from history after being betrayed by him. Gwynevere doesn't even reside in Anor Londo anymore. There are no gods in this city except for one. We can break the illusion of the city by attacking Gwynevere.
Thou shalt perish in the twilight of Anor Londo.
The city's true state is shrouded in darkness, with the only light being from the moon. Exploring reveals that the giant sentinels are all illusions. I find it fitting that the giants honored in beautiful armor are all illusions, and the only real giant in Anor Londo is the blacksmith. He is a reminder of the mistreatment and enslavement of the giants. Now to talk about the last god of Anor Londo. Gwyndolin, leader of the Blades of the Dark Moon, is another favorite of mine because of just how many ways there are to assess his character. He is Gwyn's youngest child and was born with an affinity for the moon. Because of this, he was raised as a daughter, but he was also hidden from the rest of the world. Gwyn forcing his son to be hidden from the rest of the world makes Gwyndolин's motives a tad bit confusing. Gwyndolin was practically abandoned by his father, but his covenant supports the mission to prolong Gwyn's Age of Fire. The Blades of the Dark Moon hunt down invaders who get in the way of the undead, and seeks vengeance on the sinners of this world. After defeating him in his boss fight, Gwyndolин's actions can begin to make a little more sense. Which, by the way, is a fun fight, and it's one of my favorite gimmick fights in the series, and that's a hill I'm willing to die on. Gwyndolin resides in the ceremonial tomb of his father. Alongside a lonely chair, a single flower sits on the coffin. I believe the actions of Gwyndolin are part of a common pattern alongside Lortrek, the firekeeper he killed, and even the chosen undead. It makes sense for Gwyndolин's whole covenant to be centered around vengeance, because this is someone who has never really had equally returned love. He's had God knows how long being alone and angry. Lortrek's actions aren't the ones of a hero set on making things right, but of a selfish individual seeking the embrace of another person. Attempts are made to manipulate the chosen undead into doing the bidding of a long-dead god, through the objectification of a goddess who has no part in his plan. The Firekeeper, once returned to Firelink Shrine, does not wish to speak or to be free. She believes she only exists to provide shelters to others, and as Lortrek had revealed, this is because she was never on the receiving end of that. Casted away from her home.
Please, if you have any heart, leave me be. I wish not to speak.
It's hard for me to believe that Gwyndolin truly desires to continue the Age of Fire, just like how I don't believe the Firekeeper wishes to remain caged. They only feel this way because they've had to spend their whole life seeing the world through a cage. I believe what Gwyndolin truly wishes for can be found in the night sky of Anor Londo and his covenant. In a strange way, his covenant has almost acted as a found family for the Anor Londo Firekeeper, giving an undead shunned from society a shelter. When the illusion is broken, the world is not cast under the blinding light and ambition of Gwyn's son. Instead, Anor Londo gets a glimpse into a possible new era that sees us pushing through the dark, guided by the light of the moon. Maybe this all just sounds insane to you. And maybe I'm just saying all this because Gwyndolin has a great fashion sense. I don't know. Have a great day. Bye.